Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class. Please feel free to put your questions about fluent speaking, American English pronunciation, American accent, whatever you're working on to improve your communication in English in the chat at any time. If you're watching as a replay, you can leave your questions in a comment and I'll get back to you with answers for that with resources here on the channel and on our website, speechmodification.com. At the start of class today, I'd like to take a look at fluent speaking for the phrase, I'm gonna have to go. And I'll talk about a few different ways that you can say this sentence. You notice that when I say I'm gonna have to go, I don't say it word by word. It doesn't sound like I am going to have to go. Each of these words has a different pronunciation when it's by itself versus when it's in a fluent phrase. So first of all, the words I am, we typically don't say I am when we're using it together with other verbs. If I'm just saying yes I am, then I'll use the full I am. Otherwise, this gets contracted to I'm, which sounds like I'm, rhymes with time, or rhyme, etc. So the reason we contract is to make speech more fluent, have fewer syllables, make it more efficient. Also, the reason that you should consider using I'm rather than I am is if I say I'm going, I'm gonna, those phrases, it sounds natural. It's how we correctly speak. It's not informal or casual, it's professional speech. And if I say I am going, we usually reserve that for when we want to stress on am. So it sounds kind of like, no, I am going. So when you use the full form, sometimes it sends a message you don't intend to send, as though you were correcting someone who said, no, you're not going, and you say, yes, I am going. That's how we tend to reserve that, the full form rather than the contracted form for these simple verbs like to be, will, would, etc. So first off, we have I'm, and then for going to, I have a lot of different videos talking about this phrase. So the first thing we tend to do is that we usually don't say to with a true vowel here. It'll usually become more of a ta or a da, going to, or going to, because these two link together. I typically think I tend to change this to more of a flap after the ng sound, so it's going to have more of a sound more like da, and in that case going stays for the full form of going. I'm going to, or I'm going to. You can also use to there. Basically, we reduce this vowel to the schwa, and then we connect that t, makes it into more of a voiced flap sound. But in a more everyday speech, we lose the T altogether and we get the word gonna, which is, this is how we write it. It actually sounds like gonna, with two schwa sounds. And more people will say gonna rather than going to, even in professional situations. When you see it written like this, it sort of implies the more casual, more informal, and not correct speech. So if you're worried about using something too casual or sounding grammatically correct, then go with going to or going to. But you will mostly often hear people say gonna when they're talking in a casual setting. So I'm going to, or I'm gonna. And then have to. This is one that even in the most professional speech, we never really say have to with the v and the oo. It becomes have to. It has the a, black cat vowel, and it has the schwa at the end. Have to. I have to go. I'm going to have to go. I have to tell you something. It's just the phenomenon of how this voice sound gets influenced by this voiceless sound. The oo again becomes a schwa because we rarely say the full form to with this word to. And even though when I'm saying I have it has the voiced v. In this case, it changes and becomes the voiceless f sound. And then nothing changes for our word go. That's our stressed word. In this phrase, I'm going to have to go. So go keeps its clear vowel, it's long and stressed. So you can break it down, look at each piece slowly, work on saying it more slowly, although sometimes when we slow down, that's when we use the full version. So I'll just say it correctly, quickly, and then slow down so you can practice with me. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go. Or I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go. This one would also be a good way to practice this is doing backwards chaining, which means I'm going to start with a stressed word at the end and then build one word at a time. That would sound like go, to go, have to go, gonna have to go, I'm gonna have to go. That can help you hear and feel natural on those reductions and the linking and still keep your true sound on the stressed word go. So just another example of the way written speech and spoken English don't really line up. This is correct, natural. It's going to sound fluent and help you be well understood. If it's difficult for you to make these changes, just try doing one at a time. Go from using I am to I'm. You can practice I'm in a lot of other contexts as well, or work on going to and gonna, or just using to go, to talk, to eat. You don't have to take it all on at once. This is just an example to show you how prevalent it is to do linking and reduction and reduce sounds when speaking English, and to give you some visual to support that what you hear versus what you write, or, what you say versus what you write, and what you hear is not always going to match what word by word happens when we write English. Okay, thanks so much for being here. Welcome everyone. It's nice to see you. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat at any time. We can cover specific words, we can cover phrases. It doesn't have to be about this topic. Whatever you're working on and you need help with today, I'm happy to answer. I'll also take a look at some of our recent requests on the channel. So I do go through all of your comments on the channel, on all of my videos, look for what you're asking about. It helps me to know what to make videos about and to know what's really going to help you. So feel free to leave your comments and questions. All right, one of our channel members recently asked about the words everyone, everybody, and kind of. I'll do kind of in a moment. And I do want to make a longer video for these as well, but just to get the results to our member right away, I'm going to cover them in today's class. So the word everyone is stressed on the first syllable ev. It has the eh sound like in ever or read. And even though it looks like every, we don't really do that middle syllable of every. It's of every. We do every. So it'll sound like two syllables instead. Every. And then one has the w, the schwa, and the n sound. So I would rewrite this as everyone. Everyone. Everyone is coming. Everyone knows that. Everyone is welcome. And then everybody, left off my Y there. Everybody is strange because it's the same first syllable stress. So we do have our every again. And then even though this looks like the word body, which has the ah vowel, in everybody, somebody, nobody, the word, the spelling is still as body, but the pronunciation is like the word buddy with the schwa vowel. So you'll see that it has everybody. So I would write that as everybody. Everybody knows that learning English is difficult. Great. And then, so that's also holds true for somebody, nobody, anybody, versus the word body, which has the ah vowel. And then our channel member also asked about the phrase kind of. So I'm kind of busy. So of is one of the most frequently used words in English, and it doesn't really match its spelling. So a lot of times people see this and they think it should have like an ah and a f, like off. So we have the word off that has the ah vowel and the voiceless f sound. Of is a schwa and a v, and it's often going to be really a fast schwa. So this is the only difference here is this is short and this is long. So in a lot of circumstances, you're going to hear kind of, I'm kind of busy. This is the I vowel, like in light or night. But sometimes we will change this to more kinda. So we'll drop that V sound and we just have a schwa there. I'm kind of busy. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't happen. Kinda. So depending on the context, kinda, you'll hear both of those. And people they write this kinda with an A. So just like we would write gonna, we talked about earlier with an A, but that A at the end is actually the schwa sound. I'm kind of grateful for everything that they've done. Yeah, great questions, and thank you so much for being a channel member. I appreciate your support. If you'd like to learn more about channel membership, you can, after you've subscribed to the channel, you can click join and see some of the perks that we offer to our channel members. Okay, some other recent requests. Go ahead and look back at some of those. We had a request for the word ulcers. So we have in ulcers, we have the first syllable is stressed, and we have the schwa sound. So ul in some words with I do have a video talking about how ull is pronounced. So in words like pull, we have the sound. In words like gull and bull, we have the schwa sound. So ulcer is like the word bull. No, not bull, gull, sorry. Pull and bull have the sound. Gull and dull have the schwa sound, and so does ulcer. And then letter C says the S sound, the S in this word. We have the and then letter S says the Z at the end. So I would write that as ulcers. You can think of this as ER, UR, however you want to spell just the sound. I'm just writing with IR because we do have the word sir, ulcers. Yeah, so he suffers from ulcers. Ulcers are treatable, etc. Great, welcome. You're here from Somalia. Nice to see you. It's nice to see everyone here. We have another channel member here who has some requests, so go ahead and put those in the chat and I will cover your requests as well. All right, so he's asking about utterly. So again, we have first syllable stress, and letter U says schwa like I did in ulcer. So we have the two T's are going to be flapped, so it's going to sound the same as in the word udder, like a cow's udder. We'll have that light touch up for the flap, not a strong T or strong D, just a tap up with a voice. Utterly, and then we have the tense E at the end. So I would write that like utterly. I'm utterly flabbergasted that happened. Very good. And then you also asked about frown up. So frown. I don't know this as a phrase. So I'm going to treat it as two separate words, but maybe you've seen something where those are used together. The ow in frown is the same as in like now or how. And it's the ow diphthong where we start open and then we close and round. Ow. And then we have the FR blend at the end and the N sound. So that would be frown. I wouldn't really spell it any differently than that. I usually write ow as OW. You could think of it as frown if that spelling helps you for ow more. And then up is just schwa and a p. If it were a phrasal verb like look up or head up, then we would stress on the up. Unlike, but I have never heard this as a phrasal verb. So frown up is how I would say it as a phrase. Thank you also for being a channel member. Nice to see so many of our members here this morning. Welcome everyone who's here, and thank you for your questions and comments. I'll keep returning to those and answering them. We have a question for fluent speech, how to say I'm at home. So basically what we would do here is we have our same I'm that we were talking about in I'm gonna, where we have the I diphthong and the M sound. The M of I'm is gonna link to the A of at, I'm at home. So you might think about it almost as either thinking of it as one word, I'm at, or that M kind of jumping to the word at, I'm at home, I'm at home. And then we just have our regular O sound in home. I'm at home, I'm at home. One thing you'll notice is that the at may not have a full clear vowel in the word at because it's not very important. So I'm at home. It may sound a little bit more like met or mit. I'm at home. So very reduced short vowel there for the A of at. I'm at home. I'm at the office. I'm at a movie. Great question. Thank you, and thank you for being a channel member. Okay. He heard frown up in a movie on Netflix. So maybe it was being used as, maybe that's something that's being said. And we also have frown upon. So for frown upon, that means, so upon is we're stressing on the on syllable. So it sounds like upon. So to frown upon something means to disapprove of it. They really frown upon students dating teachers, for example. Okay, good. Thank you for that suggestion. That's another, that's a common phrasal verb. Okay, and we have a question about contribution. So I noticed with some of my clients that they have a tendency to think of the word contribute. And in contribute, we stress on the trib syllable, and we have a reduced first sound, so we have contribute. And in contribute, you have the y sound for the letter U, but and also in contribution. But in contribution, we're stressing on the bu syllable. And then we have secondary stress on con, so we get a clear vowel there as well. So we have the secondary stress, letter O says ah, con, tri, and then main stress on bu, shun. So what we get there is contribution. So thank you for your contribution. I'd like to contribute to support you. They made many contributions over the years. Definitely good word. Thank you for that request. I might have a longer video covering that as well. If I do, and you'd like to see that, leave me a comment after class and I'll go search for it on the channel and make sure that I send you the link as well. Okay, we have a question about template and templates. So just now I said it as template, where the A is going to be the I vowel, because we're stressing on the tem syllable. So that sounds like template. But you will also hear people say that as template. And then if we add the S, templates, it's a S sound. So So templates or templates. I think this one is more common and correct, but I believe you will hear both, and this one may also be in the dictionary. We need a template for that, or a template. Yeah, I should double check that to make sure that those are both correct. Since off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I know I hear both spoken, but that doesn't mean that they're both actually correct. So I'll check with Merriam-Webster here. I do often check online as well, but it's nice to have a paper dictionary handy. So when I'm looking at template, I see, yeah, both are correct. Template. No, actually, in the dictionary, it doesn't have template. It only has template. But, so template is how it's shown in the dictionary, but you will hear people say sometimes template. So go with this for now, but as more and more people make that error, that will eventually become correct and will also be in the dictionary. And this is an older print dictionary. If I looked on Merriam-Webster online, it might show both pronunciations as correct. Great, okay. We have a question about thaw out and whether or not you should hear an R in there. So that's called the intrusive R. So some dialects, New York accent, some Southern dialects will put an R in there. Most American English speakers don't have the R there. They just have ah, thaw out, thaw out. It is a little hard to go from the ah to the ow. So we have, again, in thaw out, we stress on the out. So thaw, and then we'll have a stress on ow, that ow diphthong. I would just say thaw out, thaw out. You just need a little tiny break as you're saying thaw. Then you just make a little break, stop the voice, and you stress then on the out. We need to thaw out the meat from the freezer. We'll wait for everything to thaw out before we start. Yeah, great question. Thank you so much. Nice to see so many of you here this morning. Thank you for your good questions. I'll take a few more and then we'll wrap up for today. We did get started a little bit early this morning. We have a bit of a variable time to start, so hopefully you're finding us and joining us. And if you're watching this later on as a replay, I will take your questions as well. Just write them in the comments and I'll get back to you with an answer and resources here on the channel or in our free and inexpensive resources on our website, speechmodification.com. Okay, we have a question about reducing I will. And he's heard that it's the dark L sound alone. So I will. So I will becomes I'll. And so we have the I, and then before the L, there's an sound, a schwa. So we end up with a y vowel to vowel linking there. I'll. So this part is the dark L alone. What happens sometimes, this gets further reduced where the I of I'll becomes more just an ah, and then we get I'll do it. And then when we lose the front vowel of the I'll, we just end up with the ah and the I'll do it. So it's not quite like all. There's no rounding of the lips there. So it's always okay to do I'll with the full sound. So then you have I, you have the connecting y, the connecting schwa, and the L. So that's what I'm writing here, the I'll. If you're doing the reduced version of I'll, we lose the diphthong, just becomes the I'll, and it sounds kind of more just like I'll do it. I'll. So it's basically the ah sound that's in a lot of languages that we don't have in English by itself. It's the first part of I. And then an L, I'll. you can do a light front L there as well. You just want to lift the tongue. I'll do it. Because if you're trying to do that dark L with just lifting the back of the tongue and not connecting, this reduction doesn't really work too well, I think. So hopefully that walks you through. I do have a video for I'll, he'll, she'll, etc., and the full version of the contraction pronunciation, and then the reduced version. So you might want to check that out. That's on my website and also here on the channel. Thanks so much. And just feel free to drop me a comment after class and I'll direct you to where you can find that. Okay, we have a question about unsatisfactory. I do take questions in order, so you don't need to ask multiple times, and I'll get to your question as soon as I can. So for unsatisfactory, so we have satisfactory. The stress is on the fact syllable. We have stress on fact, vowel a, like in cat, factory. So we have the uri, but often that becomes just kind of tree rather than two syllables. So I would write that as unsatisfactory or turi, unsatisfactory. So turi just tends to get reduced to only tree. So what I would say here is build this, and notice that we have this T, I'm writing it as a D because it's a flap in American English. So I build this from the stress syllable. So try factory, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. You can also say it slowly, syllable by syllable. Unsatisfactory, unsatisfactory, unsatisfactory. And then try using it. Don't forget to use it in some phrases, because often we master a word by itself, then we go to use it and we still struggle, still comes out with the old pronunciation. So we found their work to be very unsatisfactory. The recent government changes are unsatisfactory to most people. Great. Okay. Thank you for your request. We have a question about walk versus work. So I do have a video covering these two, this contrast. You can get a lot of details on the channel. So after class, leave me a comment and I'll direct you to that resource. But for walk, the L is silent and we have the ah vowel. So it sounds the same as the word wok, the cooking vessel. I'm going to write it as with AW for the ah vowel. So you can think about walk. So, and then using another word like saw, I saw you walk, I saw the walk, matching that vowel can help. Then when it comes to work, letters OR say the ER sound. So it's just like in the word were, or this word were. So I always like to use we were working. We were at work. You can think about it like ER, if that's helpful, or IR, if that's helpful. But basically, often people see that OR, they think they need to be doing something different than that's happening in the word were. So we saw them walk. We were working. Yeah, definitely a challenging pair for a lot of people. And primarily it's about the spelling of these. No L sound, no OR sound. So the spelling can be a little bit misleading on those two. Thank you. That's a great request. Okay. You also were asking about gasp versus grasp. So in gasp, we just have the a vowel like cat. So I wouldn't respell this anyway. I would just think about like building it from without the P maybe, like gasp. And then for grasp, I would think about building it from like grass and then adding the P, grasp. Or you can start on the R like grasp. If you're having trouble with the SP ending, just take that P off and put it back on. Gasp. Yeah, definitely close. So if kind of identifying what's difficult for you there, is it the R sound, is it the vowel sound, or the final consonants at the end, and practicing just that portion of it, breaking it apart and putting it back together can often be helpful. Okay, we have a question about the word first. So again, we have letters IR, we have the ER sound. And so again, this is something where I would just add, I would start with the and then add your F, fur, first. Same sounds as in worst. This is like work, where OR says the IR sound. So you might have heard the expression first with the worst. Just basically for first, thinking about starting with the should be helpful for you, because what you need is to have the sound ready. The tongue needs to be tight and pulled back, and then you just close for the f. If I start with F and then I'm trying to go to I might end up with a distorted R sound like first. I'm not getting the tight enough R. So saying first helps you guarantee that your tongue is ready for the R right away, even as you're saying the F sound. Yeah, definitely can be challenging for some people. So I hope that helps you. Great. We have math versus mass. So this is just about the tongue position. When I'm saying math, my tongue needs to be out between my teeth for the sound. When I'm saying mass, my tongue is behind my teeth and there's a narrow opening for the air to go through. They both have the a vowel, like in cat, and the sound at the beginning. So math and mass. Same thing with like path and pass, or bath and bass. I do have a video talking about TH and S contrasts to help you make that difference. So it's probably the TH that needs to be changed, get the tongue between the teeth. A lot of times people have an error where they'll substitute an S sound for a TH sound or an F sound. But basically, once you get the sound mastered, this contrast should be easier for you. Great. Okay. You were also asking about mass and mess. So here we have the a vowel and here the vowel. This one is more open, a. This one is more moderately, like mid-open, mess. So using another word can help. Get the mess. Had a mass. So you're thinking about that a being more open and the being more closed. And I have quite a few videos covering that contrast here on the channel, as well as in my Sounds of English course. I'm going to walk you through each of these vowel sounds, how they're spelled, how to get these minimal pairs, really hear the sounds and differentiate those vowels. So you might want to check that out. It's our Sounds of English course, and you can find it on our website, speechmodification.com. Okay, we'll take a few more questions, and then we'll need to wrap up for today. We have a question about, can we drop the T sound in words like perfect and packed in fast speech? So we're never really going to fully drop it, except in the case of something like I packed that. You can hear the packed that. If I'm saying I packed, this T is going to change more to a D. So depending on what follows, packed, I packed, you're going to hear that T link the way it does in connected speech. So I packed a lunch. You're going to really hear that T, but as a flap. I packed that. That means you're not going to hear the T very strongly. But if you can hear I pack that, you're going to hear the K come out. I pack that every day. I packed that last week. You don't hear necessarily packed that with a strong T, but you're not going to hear the K either. I packed that. You're going to hear both of them kind of get stopped if the next sound is a consonant sound. So yes, the T will drop, impact that, unless I'm clearly enunciating packed that, but you're not going to hear, it's going to still sound different than just pack that. I pack that. I'm going to hear the K a little bit more. I packed that. It's going to stop and be unreleased a little bit more. So same thing would happen with perfect. A perfect day. I'm going to stop both the K and the T, and you won't really hear the T. I need to perfect my, you might hear the T, or a perfect apple. You might hear that connect as a flap sound. You might want to check out my video for final D linking and past tense verbs linking, because I go into a lot of detail about that. You probably find that helpful for being able to hear where those final D or final T sounds can drop in past tense. You can see that here on the channel and also in our American Accent 6 weeks course on speechmodification.com. Great question. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So asking about unsatisfactory, give the stress with a lower pitch, not raising but lowering. So not just getting back to normal, unsatisfactory. I'm not sure. I'll have to read through your comment and maybe I'll write you a response. I need to think about what you're trying to ask with that in terms of, how we're doing the pitch on the end of the word. If I'm saying it's an unsatisfactory, that's unsatisfactory timing. Satisfactory timing, I'm not going to drop off. I found it unsatisfactory. I found it unsatisfactory. I'm going to drop off. So the pitch ebb and flow is always going to depend on how the word is being used, whether it's by itself, whether it's at the end, if it's the stressed part of the sentence or not. So it's not dependent on the word itself, but how the word is used for the meaning of the word in the context of the sentence. Okay, great. We have a question about the word result. So a mistake that the ul sounds like and how to improve that. So yeah, so for a lot of people, the schwa or the ul versus the is a difficult difference to make, and it's usually the schwa versus the and in this case it just happens to have an L there. So what you need to do is just practice a lot of schwa sounds, especially when the unstressed schwa. So I would say, for example, practice words like yoga versus yogurt, where you're really getting the feel of the relaxedness of the sound, not letting the tongue tense. If you're getting resort instead of result, it's probably coming from that schwa. I would also just do like without the T, like zul. Try just breaking down that part of it, zul, result. And then also, looking at that contrast between schwa and which I do have. You could look at words like bud and bird and make sure that you're able to make a strong distinction between those two, as well as L and R contrast. So things like light and right. So these types of minimal pairs, you can find a lot of resources for that on our minimal pairs playlist here on the channel. Also in our Sounds of English course, I walk you through these differences, accent error patterns that happen. But it's probably indicative of an overall pattern. For this particular word, just working on breaking down the part that changes, saying that by itself, then try to build that back into the word. So you would be doing ul, zul, zult, result, really kind of working on finding where it breaks down, where it switches over to the error pattern, and work at that level and keep trying to push it so that you can put it into the full word. And then once you can say the word, you probably have to practice it in some phrases, because we really rely on motor habits in speech. You can even possibly do this okay, but then when you're talking, the mouth is going to default back to the old way it's always done it because it's hard to slow down enough to pay attention to make the change. We don't really think about what our tongue is doing or what sounds we're making when we're talking in a conversation. So you have to do a lot of practice to get a new motor habit to replace the old one with the correct new sounds. That's generally true for anything you're trying to change in your speech. And that's something we talk about in our American Accent 6-week course, where we walk you through kind of how to practice at the right level to actually see change overall in your speech. So thank you, everyone. I'll take another quick question about the names Richard and Victor. So Richard, even though it's spelled with A-R-D, it just has the sound here. So you can think about it like the word rich and then an sound with a D, Richard. And then for Victor, it's just like same idea. We have the OR has the ER sound. So we just have Victor. I do have a names playlist as well. Oftentimes it's hard to know names. The spelling of the name doesn't always match the sounds in the name. So do check that out here on the channel if you have other questions. Thanks everyone for being a part of class today. Great questions. It was really fun hearing what you wanted to know about. And if you're watching this later on as a replay, do leave me a comment with your question. I'll be back again next Saturday with another live class. And on Tuesday, we'll have a new advanced speaking practice video. So check it out. Stay tuned here on the channel. Thanks so much, channel members, for your support. It was nice to see so many of you here in class today. And everyone who's liking, commenting, sharing, watching the videos, your support really helps the channel to grow, and I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you next week. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you again soon.